Well, I figured if the Eagles weren't going to show up for that game, maybe we shouldn't show up either. But hello, everybody, and welcome to
we
the
get to go home?
PHLY post-game show after the Eagles embarrassing. The second week in a row, we're talking about how embarrassing it is as this Eagles team just like free falls into the playoffs. A 27-10 loss to the New York Giants. They were down 24-0 at halftime. The offense, which had been good over the past month or so, disaster. 0 points in the first half against Wink Martindale. Looked like they had never seen a blitz before and were unprepared for the possibility that Wink Martindale, of all people, might blitz a lot in this game. Also, A.J. Brown got hurt. Jalen Hurts hurt his finger. The defense gave up 24 points in 3 consecutive touchdown drives to the Tyrod Taylor-led New York Giants. Matt Patricia's defense, once again, having Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat drop into coverage way too much. Guys running completely free. Looked like nobody knew what they were doing. And now your 10-1, formerly Philadelphia Eagles, are 11-6, heading into the playoffs. They will be going to Tampa Bay next week. And what once was thought of as a potential Super Bowl frontrunner, a team that was one of the best organizations in the league, had really found a way to win, now is entering the playoffs as a joke, and everybody's wondering how bad it's going to get this offseason. Jamie, how are you?
Hey, Bo, what's going on? That was fun. We're having a good time, aren't we? When you said 11-6 out loud, I internally just kind of shuddered, ooh. 11-6.
10-1.
And you know the only other team to do this, correct?
I think I know, but I'll let you say it.
It is the Rich Kotite offensive coordinator-led New York Jets. I forget the year offhand, whatever that was, right before he came to the Eagles. That was the 1986 Jets to start 10-1 and not reach 12 wins.
But what a game from Quez Watkins. 8 catches for 93 yards and a touchdown on 11 targets, surpassing
a lot to be excited about
yards
there,
that he had over the course of the first 16 games of the season.
Do you extend him?
We're all going to remember that.
Should we offer him a contract extension?
I think it would have been, to be fair, it would have
Get him
been
now?
funny if he had celebrated that touchdown just
Baby.
full on, like LeBron, give me this, like I am the man.
Yeah.
Show me the money.
I mean, Howie better lock him up now before he gets to the market, get a bargain while you still have some hand.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this group, you want to keep this group around,
especially this defense
that really fought to the end here.
Yeah, who on the defense do you really want to lock up the most? What do we want to cement as building blocks?
I am very curious about the contents of the external hard drive that Nicholas Morrow owns. That is apparently just full of nude pictures of everybody in the NFL, and good for him.
All right, serious question.
The game.
Are the Eagles going to learn from this collapse?
What's to learn? If they didn't learn from last week's, if they didn't respond to last week's
not from this game, from this implosion.
Okay. You mean as an organization?
As an organization, going into this offseason, because we all know the playoffs aren't going to last long. I have the opening line for you. We'll get into that in a minute.
I'm actually curious about that.
Oh, okay. Why don't you guess? Eagles at Buccaneers. I'm assuming next Saturday afternoon, because the Eagles are that bad of a product that the NFL doesn't want them in prime time.
Yeah, that's the only silver lining of this game is hopefully they played themselves out of being like a Monday Night Football attraction. I'm going to say Bucks by 2.5.
You would have the Eagles as 1.5-point favorites.
Really?
Really?
That is dumb.
So the playoffs aren't. We're not going to be here long. Even if you beat the Bucks, I'm not even. I can't even get my head around that thought right now. Are they going to change?
How could they be favored?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the Bucks kind of stink too. So, it's Baker Mayfield.
Are they better than the Giants?
Yeah, probably.
Now listen, yeah, okay. Let's get ahead of a few things. Yes, they were without Devontae Smith and Darius Slay in this game. They were without DeAndre Swift. AJ Brown gets hurt early in the game. Who knows what his status will be? Jalen Hurts gets hurt. Eventually, Nick Sirianni decides to pull guys. It seemed like they were not well prepared for the possibility of pulling these guys because otherwise they might have made some different decisions inactive-wise. However, all of those things aside, it's not like we didn't also see everybody be healthy over the past month of the season when they were still free falling. So, like, I'm not gonna really excuse any of the performance today when, like, all week it's like, okay, AJ Brown stands up and he's going to turn these vibes around. He's standing up for the coaches and everybody's ready to prove how good they are now. And you come out and lay like this just rotten, disgusting egg in this game. It's pathetic. Like, where's the pride on this team? And we'll talk about the coaches. We'll talk about what changes might be coming in the offseason. But how could you look if you are Jeffrey Lurie thinking about watching?
He's embarrassed.
This is
right
your
now.
team on the field in this game. You must be nauseous.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll get into the Sirianni discussion, but I think Jeffrey Lurie watched that tonight with egg on his face, embarrassed, and with embarrassment of ownership comes heavy-handed decisions, especially with the way the Eagles operate. But I mean, to me, I was on a text with my family, my mom, my wife, my sister, brother-in-law, and we're just kind of discussing it. And I just said, this reeks of a team that has quit on its coaching staff. I don't really know
if you were to say a team quit on their coaching staff and you knew that, and then you watch them, that is what it would look like. Whether that is true or not, that is exactly what it would look like.
Now, I don't think that's an all-encompassing, statement. Like, that's the reason they lost, because they quit on the coaching staff. I think there's player personnel issues. I think there's coaching issues. I think there's maybe commitment issues that the quarterback himself has even alluded to several weeks ago. I think there's a lot of issues that contribute to this shit pie that we're watching. But
I like that. So it's evocative.
Yeah, I think 100% they've quit on this coaching staff. And the fact that Jay Glazer report came out before the game saying, the quote taken away from it from AJ Brown was that we have to start believing in our coaches. It's already too late at that point. You know what I mean? Like, you're talking 52 men plus a practice squad. How do you sway like close to 65 grown-ass adults into believing something they didn't believe 2 weeks prior? Because you're in a corner and the season's on the line. You don't change human emotion that quickly just by saying things. Like, you have to believe. That's an inherent belief in your coach and your system and your philosophy, and that was already gone. And it's pretty evident now watching these last couple weeks.
Super chat from Cole B, who says, Jalen Hurts, fraud. Nick Sirianni, fraud. Many people are asking, was Nick Sirianni holding back Jonathan Gannon?
Good
stuff
point
from Cole Beasley.
Good point.
Good rapper,
I think he was holding back Shane Steichen. I don't know.
Although, Shane, what are you doing taking that time out?
Yeah, that was bad. That was bad today, too.
Yeah, now listen. A little bit of this is uncomfortable, right? Because it's like, yes, there are livelihoods we're talking about. These are human beings. I'm not calling for anybody's job.
I will.
This is not this is not reflective of the arc of anybody's performance. But that, like, who are they making better right now? And like, the defense guys are running around like they have no idea what they're doing still. Deniz talked about it on the Friday show. That did not get any better. But then for the offense, which had at least been holding its own, to come out and lay that egg, and you sort of saw everything like the Emperor Has No Clothes lifted when AJ Brown did leave that game. And okay, now all of a sudden you don't have the superpower of these two elite wide receivers on the outside on the field. What do you do on offense? Nothing. Like the scheme is giving them absolutely nothing. And Jalen Hurts is not excused from this. He did not play well in his cameo in this game. 7 for 16 for 55 yards and an interception. If I see if I think of this season right now, the defining play of this season is a blitz, Jalen Hurts rolling away from pressure to his right and throwing the ball away. Like, how many times can we possibly see that over the course of a season? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I know you don't want to call for people's livelihoods, and it's an uncomfortable thing. But like, I'll say it, Brian Johnson has to go. And he's not even the biggest of the issues. My new campaign is make Sean Desai the head coach, because he might be the greatest defensive coordinator we've ever seen.
It's possible, yeah.
After
he's
what
better than Jim Johnson.
Yeah, after what Matt Patricia has done these past 4 weeks. I think it was Jimmy Kemsky tweeted out in the first quarter, the Giants had blitzed, I think, like close to 75 or 80% of the time on the first 2 drives. And Jimmy Kemsky tweeted out on a 3rd down, it was 4 vertical routes on a blitz.
Yeah, there's no awareness.
Like, are they trying? Do they understand football? Like, it's gotten so bad that you're questioning the football intelligence of people that clearly have football intelligence. Like, it's at that point where you're just like, what is going on? What is the root of this issue right now? Because to have 4 vertical routes when they're blitzing down after down after down is just showing a complete either unwillingness to adapt or just misunderstanding of the game. Like, I don't understand.
I mean, it's a good point from David in the chat. The curse of Christian Ellis is real. I think tomorrow's show with Zach, we may lean into that a little bit.
I thought about you a lot this week with that. Like, think about how bad the linebacking play was last week.
Yeah.
It was the worst I've ever seen.
And
maybe
then Shaq Leonard couldn't even get on the field over Nicholas Morrow in this game.
Why are you cutting Christian Ellis of all people there?
Don't get me started.
You're blushing.
It's crazy.
It's insane.
But it is like, it's a little bit of a bit, but only a little bit. Like, because it is like demonstrative of so many things that have been broken under the surface for the Eagles team this season, where they are sacrificing what makes sense long term for like a little bit of short term gain without really thinking through the process, or whether or not they're thinking it through, they're deciding to make that exchange. And like, how could you look at the state of the team right now and feel good about anything?
No. What's the best thing you feel good about with this Eagles team?
The wide receiving top 2. That's pretty much like long term. Because listen, you talked about it last week. That could have been Jason Kelce's last home game. This could have been his last regular season game. What a tough way to go out if that is the case. It's almost like this has been so bad that maybe it's going to bring Kelce back because he doesn't want to go out like that. But like, there is this group of aging guys who have been huge for the team over the past couple of years or even longer, who are going to be graduating out to some degree. Some of those guys are going to still be around and you're overpaying them. But they have also not really given the investment into finding out what they have in some of these young guys until the very end of the season. And like the middle group, those guys who were supposed to be in their primes, you've still got Devontae Smith, you've still got A.J. Brown, who are very much in the prime of their
Devontae's going to be
career.
due on a contract here pretty soon.
Probably going to get paid this offseason, I would imagine. Dallas Goedert seems like he is not as much of a part of the... I mean, like, Dallas Goedert in this game is active and healthy while A.J. Brown goes out and he's not getting the ball. They're forcing balls to Quez Watkins and Julio Jones. Like, what is the plan on either side of the ball that looks like it's cohesive and that the players are buying in and know where they're supposed to be? Like, who is being put in a position to succeed? Right now, the answer is nobody.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously AJ and Devontae, bright spots for the future. Jalen, low down on the list of concerns. Landon Dickerson, like some of these guys, it's like, okay, but there's a bigger stink here. Like Jalen Carter on the defensive side of the ball, there's Reed Blankenship, Jalen Carter. I think Ricks and Ringo have a shot.
I like a Milton Williams.
I like Milton Williams.
Jordan Davis is a 2-down player.
Am I missing anyone that I should feel good about for the
Nolan
future?
Smith, we don't know. They didn't let him play this year.
Yeah, what was that? Joey Porter Jr. could be.
Sidney Brown also got hurt in this game, by the way.
Brian Branchers or Joey Porter Jr. Look, Nolan Smith at the time was a luxury pick because you had 2 first-round picks and you didn't need him to start and contribute right away. And I'm not saying he's a bust or has no shot in this league, but there's guys out there, and this all goes back to philosophical beliefs of the organization, much like ignoring linebackers. There was guys out there in Brian Branch and Joey Porter Jr. that could have started and contributed and gotten you younger at positions of need day one, but you went for a luxury position of a position you believe in. And I think D-end is a position to believe in. But now you start to go back all these things. Howie's on the table. Nick's on the table. The players are on the table. Nobody's safe in a collapse like this. Nobody. I mean, Howie's safe because we know Jeffrey's not going to do anything there. But some of these decisions now, it's a total disaster from top to bottom.
I can't get over the blitz plan in this game. You saw this team 2 weeks ago. Everybody in the league knows this is what Wink Martindale does. Plus, you're the team that gets blitzed more often than anybody else in the league. How is it week 18 and we still have no answers, no adjustments, no plan? It is crazy. I don't get it.
I don't get a lot of what happened in these past 6 weeks. It's hard to understand. This is an epic collapse. I asked you before we went on the air. I said, is there a worse Eagles collapse than this? And I think even the Chip Kelly collapse at the end, the Andy Reid, Juan Castillo D coordinator collapse years, they were all more palatable than this. This is embarrassing. I walked outside this week and I have an Eagles flag out front of my house. I went, ugh. I kind of cringed at it. And I went, I got to take this down. I don't even want to have it out for the playoffs. The playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, it is a very funny, cruel joke that this team is going to get to play in the playoffs.
And as a favorite on the road.
We'll see if that line holds up. Super chat from Rohit, who says, "Go Birds, always go Birds, even when they suck." I appreciate the stick-to-itiveness.
Good, go Birds. I just don't believe it.
We're going to hear a little bit from Zach Berman coming up in, I'm going to guess, about a half an hour.
So Zach's tweet was that A.J. Brown was at the locker room door greeting teammates as they came in.
He escaped the locker room.
He did escape the room.
The Eagles end the season with a +5 point differential as an 11-6 team.
It's not negative.
Actually better than you might have expected, given they got down to -2 in this game.
Real quick, I don't want to make this an AJ thing. Doesn't it seem like he's trying really hard to be the good teammate? And I don't want to question the moves.
Yeah, I don't want to question it either, but
it does.
Is it a little performative to stay outside of the locker room when the team just got donkey womped and nobody really wants to talk to anybody right now?
Player only meeting before in the escape room. It's just
I don't know.
It doesn't matter, but just an observation. It's a little performative.
I mean, is there any part of you that feels optimistic about the playoffs?
My optimism in that Baker Mayfield sucks is all I got.
Yeah, that week 3 game feels like a long time ago.
Yeah, that's a totally different season. So no real optimism at all. I fully expect them to be one and done. I mean, that defense, they're not even trying. I don't want to say they're not trying, but they don't know what they're doing. The play tonight where Cunningham tackled Bradbury, this team is just, they can't.
Yeah, it's crazy that they lost this game getting back, mid-career Ray Lewis and Zach Cunningham.
They can't walk and chew gum at the same time right now.
Good little wordplay on the super chat from Ultra Grandad. The FO needs to FO.
That is good. I see what you did there.
Crafty. I like that. Yeah, I'm with you.
I fully expect Mike Evans to go for 140 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, pets' heads are falling off. It's a whole. I mean, there was not a single moment of that game that could make you feel good about anything.
No. It was. I mean, I started playing NBA Jam in the third quarter because I was like, I need a break from my eyes. Like I don't want to watch this anymore. I wanted to like tune out. There was no real point outside of us doing this show of watching that second half. And shout out to everybody in the chat. We love you. We appreciate you. Hit that like button while you're in here. There was no need to watch that second half. Like the team had quit. They had waved the white flag before halftime. It was over.
Well, and they literally did give up because Nick Sirianni pulled Hurts, a little bit before the end of the first half, which I think was the right thing to do at that point. Unfortunately, like a bunch of guys still had to play, and they got hurt. Hurts is flipping off the camera with his busted middle finger. A.J. Brown hurts his knee. We'll find out. We probably will not find out any news on that tonight, but maybe heading into tomorrow. Sidney Brown goes out. Cam Jurgens hurts his eye. Like this, like walking wounded team that is in just utter collapse. Just very funny that they're still going to have to go play in the playoffs.
I can't believe there's another week. Like we're going to run this back next weekend and pretend like the Eagles
lose by 3 touchdowns.
Have a shot? I mean, I guess they do.
We're going to spend all week talking ourselves into, you know what? They have upside. We have seen it over the course of the season. They have beaten good teams. They have elite players. All it takes is them to just play to their level of capability, and they can easily go down and beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then the game is going to start. They're going to get blitzed and go 3-and-out on the first series. Mike Evans is going to catch 2 passes for 85 yards on the opening drive, and they're going to lose by 4 touchdowns.
That sounds about right. Yeah,
and then Jalen's going to go to his press conference in another walking boot or like a full body cast.
The cliches for the offseason are going to be great.
Yeah.
I don't know what I guess Rent's doing the offseason still. The main thing is the main thing. And then we'll probably hear about the injury to the knee that he was playing through and this and that. And directionally, I don't really know where they go this offseason. Because defensively, they just need almost like a clean slate to a degree. Because when you think about it, like
you don't think they can bring back Matt Patricia? Just give him the defense. You don't think that's palatable?
No, I don't think that's going to be in the cards. But honestly, think about how good Sean Desai was to make this defense look competent.
Yeah, seriously.
Like, and I think when my mom was like, "You really think they quit on the team?" I don't want to say that they like love Sean Desai to the point of like quitting on him, or quitting on Matt Patricia. But ever since he's taken over, they all look like dumbasses that they don't know what's going on.
I mean, there's a
distinct line in the sand here.
There is, and I mean, that is the like crucial turning point of the season.
Yes,
is when they did that,
100%.
Right? Because if you're going to press that button, you better know that it's going to get something close to the results you want, and the unintended consequences of it, aside from giving the defense to someone who doesn't have a great track record of leading
most
defense.
Overrated defensive coach ever.
And like it's not the middle of the season. It's not early season where you're like putting in the investment of time and hoping by the end of the season you're gonna get things right. There's not a lot of time left.
It's break glass.
He's trying to change a lot of things in the players who, whether some of them, didn't like Sean Desai or what, like they have been building up in this scheme, respecting this coach, theoretically, all season long. To flip the switch on them like that in the middle of the season is really risky. And we don't know whether that was just Nick Sirianni doing it on his own.
I doubt it.
Or if it was, pressured to make the decision to him from Howie Roseman and or Jeffrey Lurie. But if it was just Nick Sirianni, boy, did that backfire, and that's going to look terrible to the people who were making the decisions. If it wasn't, it's not great that they're making him do something like that in the middle of the season. Neither of those things is great, obviously, and it has completely backfired. They went from just a below average defense to like the worst defense in the league, between like 2 or 3 teams. It's awful, and they look like there is absolutely no hope on that side of the ball.
Yeah, absolutely none. I mean, like it's hard to imagine how much worse of a job he's done. And I do want to get to some of these super chats here in a second.
And Eugene Krabs, I mean,
woo,
Might be Jeffrey Lurie. That's the money he's throwing around.
We'll get to those in one second.
Thank you for a great regular season. Oh, sorry. He says, Bo, ZB, Jamie Daniz, and all the producers. P.S. I hope those Miami aliens take over the planet so we don't have to watch this team play again.
Wow, Eugene with the $100 super chat. Thank you, sir. We'll get to the rest of those in a second because I want to get to every super chat because you guys are paying to get those up there. Like, that is the point where I think this all just went wrong.
Yeah.
When you look back on it, and
no doubt.
We look back at the Eagles yearbook 2023 in a couple months, I think the decision, and I'm going to be really interested to find out if we ever find out where that decision came from, because I have a feeling it was above Nick personally. But if you're right, or not that you're right, but if it's Nick's decision only, then that pretty much guaranteed he's fired. Because you don't make that decision and have it backfire on you that much, and not, probably pay the consequences for it.
Right.
But this is like this is worse than Juan Castillo becoming, like defensive coordinator. Like, this is going to be one that's talked about for a long time. Like, remember when they fired Sean Desai and sent him up to the booth and made Matt Patricia the DC?
Yeah.
And he allegedly had third down play calling a week or two leading up to it. So if I have the timeline of that correct, am I right? I think it was like a week or two where Desai was stripped of third down play calling.
That's the reporting from Jeff McClain, yeah.
And it didn't go well on those third downs, and you still made the decision. Like, there's a pecking order of some things that need to be sorted out in that building. And there's an HVAC, there's a dead fish skeleton in the HVAC system down there. Something stinks real bad. And they got to figure it out yet again.
Painting some good pictures tonight.
Yeah. The Eagles they just cannot escape drama.
No,
good,
they are
bad,
absolutely addicted to drama.
They love drama.
No, I think that's a feature for them.
Yeah. Like number one.
Yeah. All right, let's get to those super chats. Then we'll get to some ads, and then we'll talk a little bit more. DKITT says, how much does Hurts' contract affect us going forward? We need a lot of help. Yeah, I mean, he's not going anywhere.
No.
There's no doubt about that. They're going to have some tough decisions to make this offseason. They're not going to get a ton of cap room. I think they're going to sign Devontae Smith to a long-term deal. I think they're going to have to move on from some of the guys who may or may not retire. They might have to eat a lot of money to cut James Bradbury, who was really bad again today.
I think that's $17.5 million or something.
Yeah,
roughly they'd have to eat.
Because like one of it, I believe, like BG's is designed to be a post June 1 cut, but you can only do 2.
Avante's is a post June 1
when
savings.
the season ends. Yeah,
but Bradbury, I think you take it on the chin,
or you wait until actual June. There's no reason to do it early. You just wait until June 1st. From Real Time says, my last sandwich money spent to ask, do you really think Sirianni will let an offense and defense not be from his philosophies? It's a good question, but we have a history from this Eagles organization of knowing that they have a heavy hand in the coaching staff if things especially are not going to their liking. It happened with Doug Peterson. I think there's no reason to doubt that it might happen again if it hasn't happened already. Dahlia, just throwing it in, telling us the super chat. Love it. Thank you, Dahlia. Cole, we have elite players, but not an elite about. Just because Jalen got paid doesn't make him good. Hell, we paid Carson Wentz. That's true. No doubt about that.
Caller makes a fine point.
Bob, we had a baby, it's a boy.
Bob had a baby, it's a boy.
Super Jet, shout out to Bob. And then Michael Bolton does
that no talent ass clown.
Dumb belly flops. Says there was only one post-game question. Nick, do you think this team quit on you and the staff? I am very curious to hear about the tenor of Nick Sirianni's press conference when we talk to Zach.
So who do you think's the heavy hand tonight in the press? Who's going hard to the hole asking that question? Because it's going to come up, I would assume.
I think Jeff McClain.
Yeah.
He's happy to be in that.
He knows his role, and he follows through.
Credit to him. Yeah, I mean, somebody's got to do it. Tim McManus will do that.
Old T-Mac.
T-Mac knows what he's doing.
If you had to get inside...
Zach will ask a tough question.
So if you had to get inside Zach Berman's mind in that press conference tonight, what avenue do you think Zach wants to go?
I think Zach's question would be something along the lines of, what gives you the faith to think that you can turn things around. Something like that.
Okay.
And
And
if I know my Zach. What Zach's good at is if Nick gives him, tries to skirt it, he'll be, well, respectfully, this is what actually happened. Like, he'll come with his receipts.
Okay.
Zach's always got the receipts.
All right. Does he take screenshots? Does he just have a good receipt in mind?
Well, he'll say like you gave up 10 of 12 third downs tonight. Like, what gives you he'll.
Does he have a notepad of Sirianni sayings?
He's got stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is going to be an interesting press conference, though.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's just talk a little bit. Let's talk a little game time, because if you are like a real sadist and just a pervert for bad football, you might want to go watch this Eagles team in Tampa Bay next weekend. Boy, is that deranged. But if that's the case, you could buy tickets to your favorite events, which should not be stressful. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. They've got flash deals and last-minute tickets. Easy to find, easy to check out the seats, the view from those seats, all that good stuff. Images of seat views, lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection, and more. It's the fastest growing ticketing app in the country for a reason. Get images of your seat before you buy so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. Buy tickets in a matter of seconds, just 2 taps and you're set. Tickets are sent directly to your phone so you never have to dig through your email. Tickets make great holiday gifts. We're a little bit past the holidays, but maybe someone's got a birthday coming up. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem with code PHLY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, and that is a guarantee.
And while we're here, let me tell you about FOCO. If you notice the set behind me, lots of good little trinkets and bobbleheads and other fun stuff, because FOCO is the leading manufacturer of sports and entertainment in merchandising, with a product line that includes apparel, accessories, toys, collectibles, novelty items, and more. All my cousins were asking me at the Christmas party, Jamie, where'd you get that Birds ugly sweater? Well, I got it on FOCO. The overalls in the Phillies playoffs, yep, they came from FOCO also. They have the best officially licensed gear for all sports and fandom, and it's football and tailgating season. If your team, has real Super Bowl aspirations, ours probably doesn't, so maybe you need to stock up on the off-season stuff. But if you're still tailgating and your team has a chance, you can get, the best tailgating grill, overalls, hoodies, hats, sunglasses, bags, everything you need. And FOCO has hooked us up here at PHLY and provided awesome pieces for our sets. FOCO always has our back for Philly sports, and they have yours too. Get the best gear around by going to the link on the screen right in front of you there. And for all non-presale items, use the promo code PHLY10 for 10% off. FOCO is awesome.
And now is like the part of the show where I would normally transition to like some of the specifics of the game. Like, let's get into the weeds of who was playing where. We got to see Landon Dickerson snapping in this game, but nobody wants to talk about this game. Like, the game was ridiculous.
And
Kenny
even if they won,
looked kind of good. I'm surprised they didn't run the ball more when Wink Martindale was doing nothing but blitzing. Give him the ball. He looked good. 7 for 62.
Career long run today.
Marcus Mariota's fast.
He looked pretty quick.
I mean, the fact that the interception he threw on the first play,
he's horrible.
That was so good. I mean, that is good comedy. Like, you could not write that better. That was very funny.
He's really bad.
A busted screen that gets intercepted on his first play of the game. Come on. That's great.
Yeah, that yeah. He's not good.
Can we see some Tanner McKee? I think maybe Tanner McKee should start next week. Why not? What do you got to lose?
Wow.
Real okie dokie. Real, like, Todd Bowles is not prepared for that. Ball's coming out with Danny Mac. You know that.
I mean, do you think if Jalen all of a sudden started getting it out in 2.5 seconds, this offense would improve? Do you think that's a real concern going into the offseason?
I think that
in terms of a regression for him,
level of difficulty, it looks like everything has to be on offense. Not a good sentence. But the fact that everything on offense with Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown
Takes
and Devontae
forever.
Smith and Dallas Goedert and one of the best offensive lines in the league, everything looks so difficult is a major problem. And and that's over the arc of the season, taking into account when they have been playing very well, like a top 8 offense in the league. Not good enough for the talent that they have. And as disastrous as the defense is, one of the very worst in the league, I think that for Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman, the drop-off on offense is going to be even more of a pressure point for them.
Yes, because I believe they were built to offensively slaughter people and have a defense that was okay enough, right? Like that's kind of their philosophy this season was, all right, our offense can go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, and we can be as good as any offense in this league. Our defense is okay.
Right, and you hope that you get some variance. You hope that you get some bounce back. There are some things that will probably regress next year positively. But from everybody's pointing fingers at everybody else.
The offense wasn't good enough.
The
overall.
defense, you could point a lot of fingers at the roster
That's
construction.
easy to do.
On offense, there's no roster construction issues really. Like we can quibble. I think they should have brought in a real third receiver in the offseason so that they weren't trying to make Julio Jones a thing.
You're trying to blue ball Julio.
2020, exactly. Running back worked out very well.
Yeah.
Like
on paper, there's not an issue with the offense.
Right.
Not one.
Especially because they stayed healthy for the most part.
But
on defense, the construction has not been great. And for lots of reasons, there were some decisions that made sense in a vacuum, but as a whole, set them up to not be in very good position. But they also didn't get the return on investment from that defensive line, which we've talked about over the course of the season. I just think that, like, knowing that this is an offense-first franchise, not putting Jalen Hurts in a position to succeed more is going to be like the crux of the difficult conversations that they have.
Will you be shocked if Brian Johnson returns?
I don't think I would be shocked, but I don't think that anything would shock me at this point. I wouldn't be shocked if they completely clear house.
Yeah. Now, this is just a gut outsider.
I wouldn't be shocked if they keep Brian Johnson and bring in, motion doctor, whoever, to be announced.
Kyle Shanahan's like young protege, or whatever.
Exactly. Somebody who drove Kyle Shanahan to the airport or whatever. I was going to say the one thing that would shock me is if they just let Matt Patricia be the defensive coordinator.
That would absolutely
But I actually
shock
don't know
me.
if that would shock me.
I think they
like
would blow
him
my
in that
doors
building,
off.
whether or not they should. But there is no off-season outcome I think is off the table.
Yeah. My gut, because I was thinking about this at halftime. I ran down to grab a cheesesteak, so I missed you guys at halftime. But I was sitting there waiting for my cheesesteak, and I went, this just feels like everybody's gone. Like the whole coaching staff, clean house. Because I was just trying to picture Jeffrey Lurie taking this game in.
Jeffrey Lurie does not take
embarrassment
well. Yeah.
And this is embarrassing.
Yes.
This is the worst Eagles collapse of my lifetime.
There is,
I think historically in the NFL, it's up there.
I think if you think about it this way, think about every single team in the NFL. The season is over. The regular season is over now. I don't know if there is a team in the league that feels worse about itself right now than the Eagles.
No.
Like
even the Bears,
maybe the Patriots, but it's like, okay, this was the end of, this was an inevitable ending. Like, okay, like I'm going down the list of teams, like Carolina, I guess, probably Carolina. You've got
David Tepper's throwing drinks on people.
You gave up all that equity for the quarterback who looks way worse than the quarterback you should have just sat and taken. Everybody else has like a little glimmer of hope relative to what their expectations were heading into the season. Like Maybe Jacksonville, I guess,
Ooh,
gacking
Dougie
that
P's
game
going
away.
through it, yeah.
That's a good one. But like, think about where they were 2 months ago.
Their win total for the season was 11.5, and they didn't cash it.
Your boy.
That is hard. Mike Passion, if you're watching, that's a tough one. All you Eagles bettors out there that had over 11.5 this year, like that's one you talk about until your deathbed. Like, do you know in 2023 they were 10-1, and I had a big ticket for 12 wins, and they couldn't even do it. It's comically bad and embarrassing for the Eagles.
I should have never waived Christian Ellis. Albert Okwuegbunam wasn't even active. What the hell?
Does your wife know all about the Christian Ellis?
I think she's happy to not know anything about it. Yeah. Well, I think she did watch the sermon.
Okay, all right, that's good. Let's get back to some of the super chats, Bo, because they were pouring
rolling in.
and you got to give
They're
people
keeping
the
the lights on right now.
Yeah, thank you guys, all of you.
QQ. Bradbury to safety. Slow cornerbacks tend to do that. I actually think that is a possibility.
Yeah, rather than eat the money. Sure.
Now, I mean, he's a very smart player. So you would think from a knowing what's going on standpoint, that would be a fine transition. I think body type wise, he can hold up. I think that certainly that is a better match for his speed.
It's not like you have to be physical in the safety
if you
game.
Pencil it in. You've got him and Sidney Brown and Reed Blankenship between the three of those guys. I think that's possible. But I also think it's possible that they just move on. From Bob again, the days of talent covering up coaching ended after Hurts scored against Buffalo. Nick is gone. A good offensive coach could do wonders here. I do think they need however it comes, they need some freshness in the scheme. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, yes.
Tim says, don't you think our best shot in the playoffs is to reinstate Sean Desai as DC? Besides egg on your face, what reason is there not to do it? I totally agree.
Completely agree.
Now listen, we had on Friday, we had our crystal ball Eagles for how what would be the best story for the rest of the Eagles season? Like the if you could write it like a movie script, what would be the best story? And what I said was they lose in embarrassing fashion to the Giants. They announced that Sean Desai is the defensive coordinator before the playoffs.
Think bigger. Head coach. Nick Sirianni's fired.
Wow.
Sean Desai made head coach. They go on a Super Bowl run.
Wow. Yes, I have them beating Tampa, going to Detroit and winning on a pass to
I can see it.
Sua Opeta. Then you go to San Francisco. Jalen Hurts gets injured on the first play of the game. Marcus Mariota gets injured on the second play of the game.
Tanner McKee
leads him to a blowout victory, taking advantage of the Shanahan rule, and then they lose in the playoffs to the Browns.
Ooh, the irony of the McKee-Shanahan. That's really good.
Yeah.
You've put in some thought to that.
It's good.
Yeah.
So maybe that'll happen. Another super chat from Cole. What do you think Nick Foles is up to next week? If Joe Flacco can come off the couch and lead the Cleveland Michael Dunns to the Super Bowl, I'm sure BDN can too. Worth thinking about. And then finally, Rohit. Eagles are trash, but we got a free roll next week. No expectations. Just need the D-line to wake up. Now listen, it is true. You don't go to the playoffs every year. They have a chance. You know, if they can sack up and play like they are capable of playing, they can absolutely win a couple games.
Sure.
They can also lose by 40. There is...
What's funnier? I think the win is funnier.
Yeah, I think it's funnier if they win.
In like emphatic fashion, like blow them out. Like if they go out and win by like 30,
right.
that's objectively hilarious.
They're dancing.
Right?
Yeah, that's very funny. It's funny if they then I think the funniest would be blowout win next week, then go to San Francisco, blow them out.
Oh,
just like knock their socks off, and then go to Detroit
and
lose by 70. Yeah.
And Dan Campbell actually eats a kneecap.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That is pretty good.
That's probably the funniest.
That's where we are, folks. Coming up.
Or I guess it would also be funny if they went to the Super Bowl and got blown out, and then it was like they went 3-1 in the playoffs but had a negative point differential. It was like they win 3 games by 1 point and then lose by 45.
Yeah, that would be pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, at this point, they should just commit to a bit and like go with it.
Yeah, lean in.
Yeah, like don't fight it at this point. The season's over. Just find the funniest bit and try and nail it. You know.
So what do you hope the Eagles do in the offseason? Do you want them to move on?
Leading up to this game, I thought getting rid of Sirianni was a bit crazy. Just because
it is crazy. It's crazy that it is a legitimate possibility.
Yes, because he overperformed, and now you want to cut bait. And that's like the debate I'm having with myself. It's like, you really want to cut bait already? Like, he got you to the Super Bowl. He helped get you to the Super Bowl last year. He outperformed year one and the Vegas win total, all of that. And I'm sitting here going like, yeah, you gotta clean house. Like, I think it's not irrational anymore. I shouldn't say that. Typically, that's an irrational thing to do, but there's only been 2 teams in the history of football that have been this bad down the stretch. And I don't know how you run it back without it stinking. Metaphorically.
The thing is, like,
and I think Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman, to their credit, make the hard decisions before it gets out of control, typically. Like, they like to cut off the head before it gets worse.
In theory, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, if you think that he's not the guy anymore, that then you should move on.
I think you have to talk to your veteran leaders.
The Zach thing is, I forget who he's pulling it from, some general, but anything that must be done eventually should be done immediately.
Yeah,
which I think is fair. And now listen, if it is the case that there is real combativeness between the coaching staff and the locker room, which we don't know, but if that is possible,
seems like
if that is a thing, or if it's between the coaching staff and the front office, like, Nick Sirianni's job is to design the offense, and like, his whole thing is about keeping the vibes high. And we don't need to use the word vibes, but like culture, connect, all that stuff. And if that stuff is failing already and the offense is not pulling its weight, you can see the case against it.
Well, the thing with Nick Sirianni, I always thought the Ted Lasso comparison was pretty apt. You know what I mean? Like, extreme positivity, pull people up by their bootstraps with them, you know, like, everybody get
and
people.
He's authentic. This is who he is.
And I don't think he's making it up. I think that's what he believes, but I think he's being Ted Lasso. But Ted Lasso, like, there's a high corny factor. And like, once you stop listening to Ted Lasso, it becomes easy to just say, shut the fuck up in your mind. Like, I think it's a real fine line of like flowers and plants and culture, and we're cultivating and this and that, to the point when your players, and if these Jay Glazer reports and Derek Gunn reports are coming out, I don't think players do that unless it's already over. And I think this is where Jeffrey Lurie is going to probably sit down with the Kelceys, the Grahams, the Coxes, all the veterans that he's had there for a decade plus, and find out the real story of like, were his words just falling on deaf ears? Because I think it's a real easy corner to turn from, I like this guy, this is positive, oh, shut the fuck up, we don't believe in you.
Well, and what it is, and Nick Sirianni has said this, and this is the truth, are you making me better? Right?
None of the coaching staff is making anybody better this year.
And if you're not making me better, then I'm going to stop listening to you.
Yeah.
Right? It's like any boss in the world.
Sure.
Either make me better at my job or leave me alone. And if that is not the case, then you can see how things would be sour. Just going through Twitter as we see what's going on with Nick Sirianni and in the locker room. Looks like he said, we got to flush this one, Nick Sirianni. We got to flush the last month. I think they've used that one before. Chris Franklin reporting that Sidney Brown has a large brace on his right knee and is in crutches. That's good. Let's see.
So here's the question to do you want to hear the Sirianni answer to if he lost the locker room or
I
not?
say if the locker room still believes in him, according to Brandon Lee Gowden, the answer is we have a lot of belief in that locker room. There are a lot of teams that want to be in our position in making the playoffs.
And now it's time for us to give it everything we got.
Jalen Hurts said his finger popped out. We're taking it day by day.
Oh, God. Can he?
I mean, that is a good meme, though. That will be a good with just Jalen just holding up the broken middle finger.
We're taking it day by day. Like, is that necessary there? That was a quote from him?
Yeah. I mean, what's he going to do? Not play next week? Come on.
Like, can you just drop the cliche, like, every once in a blue moon?
No, he won't. That's
like, can you just stop? We're taking it day by day. Oh, my finger's out of its fucking socket here, but we're going to take it day by day. No shit, man. Can you just say my finger came out of its socket? It hurts. I'll be fine.
Now your back's going to hurt.
Yeah, like I'll see you in Tampa. I'll be on the field, all right? I threw after it came out of its socket. I'm fine. Enjoy the memes, Philadelphia. Like, the cliche machine just, God, drives me nuts. Like, just talk. That's all. I'm sorry, Jalen. I didn't want to bring you into this.
Wheelhouse is our go-to sports card gift and apparel shop in the Delaware Valley. Their motto is cards and community because love of sports unites us all. They carry all of your favorite card brands like Topps Chrome Baseball and Mosaic Football, as well as t-shirts, hats, and hoodies from brands like Mitchell & Ness, 47 brand, Junk Food, Starter, and Shibe Vintage Sports. Looking to grade your sports card collection? Wheelhouse offers PSA grading submissions. They also host tons of different family-friendly events and birthday parties every month. It is a go-to spot for Zach and Reed Berman.
So Zach Berman,
like my voice cracked a little on that read.
Zach Berman points out on Twitter 2 hours ago, the Eagles have no answers for the Giants blitz. The Giants are number 2 in the NFL in blitzes per dropback. The team that's number 3 in the NFL, the Tampa Bay Bucks. So do you think, Bo, now going into the playoffs, it's time to put up or shut up? You know, rent is due. Do you think there will be an adjustment to the blitzes they're likely to see next week?
No.
I
think there will be some adjustments. They will try to solve these things, but do I think they will have the answers? No.
How is that possible? It's blitzing.
I mean, there are a lot of things at this point where it's like if they were going to show it, if they were going to have this
self-scouting,
we would have seen it already, right?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I have no confidence that they're going to be able to do that. But if the Tampa Bay comes out and blitzes on 75% of the first 2 series next week, I fully expect the Eagles to continue just running vertical routes. Makes sense, doesn't it? Just go deep, guys. Go with the hardest, longest route it takes to complete. Forget the the flat and the crossing routes and the dump offs and the emergency valves. None of it. Yeah, just go deep, guys. I'll find you.
Yeah. I don't know.
This is bad. Eagles football, baby. Catch the fever.
Yeah, I feel like, can we bring in backups now? Should we? We'll wave the white flag.
This is unbelievable.
I do think we're going to hear from Zach shortly from MetLife Stadium. He loves being there. It's one of his favorite places.
He really had a real admiration of MetLife Stadium.
He loves that place.
It's
a house that he built.
It sucks.
It's awful.
That stadium sucks.
Yeah,
even my Giants friends hate it.
Yeah, it's terrible. No character.
And by the way, like, when is the NFL going to just mandate grass fields? This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, disagree. 4 players got hurt. Granted, maybe not all of them are field related in the first quarter. It has the highest injury rate in the NFL. I think it's like almost 31% more likely to get hurt on turf than grass. You know, you're this multi-billion-dollar industry, and yet you're playing on a stadium like that. It's embarrassing.
It is embarrassing. Eagles had to play there twice. Lost both times. I don't know if you guys knew that.
Fun fact.
Although surprisingly not as rare as I was hoping to find teams that lost in MetLife Stadium to both the Giants and Jets in the same season over the past decade, given how bad those teams have been. Commanders did it this season. Bears did it last season. So I was really hoping that was going to be a good, oh, Eagles are the first team the last decade to lose. But couldn't
No, they're just par for the course.
couldn't cherry pick that one quite well enough. Let us know what else is on your mind in the chat as we try to figure out what is next here for the Eagles.
Oh man, how was the
even the guys like Jalen Carter, who was so good in the first half of the season? I mean, what has he done the past month?
He hit a rookie wall. He hasn't done much more than Jordan Davis.
Here's the craziest thing of this game. You know who finished third in the Eagles in tackles in this game, Jamie? Nicholas Morrow led the way, followed by Kevin Byard, and then Tristan McCollum.
Wow. I'm going to be honest, Bo.
You don't know who that is.
Didn't even know who he was.
Totally understandable. He's on the practice squad.
Is that a real
was,
person?
Elevated for this game. He is Zion McCollum's brother.
Oh, why didn't you lead with that?
And there you go.
Wow. Yeah.
But boy, those 93 yards from Quez.
Let's look at the positives.
Yeah.
Let's stop being so negative.
Mariota, 6 for 46 on the ground.
Yeah.
Finished 13 of 20 for 148 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception, and a quarterback rating of 82.9. We got to see Tommy Cutlets in this game. Made a little cameo. 2 for 2 for 14 yards.
I will not lie to you. I thought about Cutlets as soon as he came in the game.
Why wouldn't you? Cutlets are great.
My wife requested some cutlets in the very near future. I do some pretty nice cutlets.
Oh, you make them?
Yeah. And we're overdue. It's been a long time. And I think the next time I go in for the cutlet, it's going to be like a...
Now, are you pounding the chicken?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I'm thinking like a 40 to 50 cutlet operation. I want to freeze some and just because it's a mess. Yeah, like the whole process and clean up. So I'm just going to go for it. Make like 40 or 50 cutlets.
I like that.
Give some out, freeze some, like a whole
play frisbee.
Yeah. I've been thinking about cutlets ever since Christmas and DeVito.
Gotta go to Farina DeVita.
I do want to go there. Had some of their leftovers.
Best cutlets in the city.
Oh,
yeah. What else are you looking to cook in the near future?
We got chili tomorrow night.
Oh,
always a big chili fan. I don't know what else.
Julia's got some chili to come home to tonight.
Yeah,
big chili week.
Yeah. It's soup season.
Yeah,
big soup guy. You?
I like a soup. I don't make a lot of soups. I wish I made more. You know what I'm not good at is like saving like the turkey bones or the chicken bones, making a stock of it. Like it's
a lot of work.
High effort. Is that really worth the return on investment? For it's
going
to taste better, but
you got to look at a carcass and I
don't mind looking at a carcass. Yeah.
No, yeah, I don't know, something about.
I watched the Eagles this season.
Zing. I'd like to get a soup going this week. Yeah. Maybe a stew.
A little Stewart?
Yeah.
A little beef stew?
Yeah, a little beef stew.
Okay. You ever do like a butternut squash soup?
Oh, yeah. That's nice with little pine nuts on top.
Okay.
Yeah. This is what we have to look forward to. Football season's about to be over, and, what's your soup recipe?
Yeah. We've got, we have had a soup draft in the past on a previous program. We can have another one.
What was the number one pick in the soup draft?
I don't remember if it was number one, but a first-round pick from Marissa was broccoli cheddar, which blew my mind. I mean, a first-round pick, you got to be kidding me.
Ooh, that is... But people that love broccoli cheddar... I'm
still thinking about that reach from Marissa.
I think if I had to go one, I'm going Italian wedding.
Okay.
The classic chicken noodle, though, it's tough to beat.
Tough to beat. Many different use cases for it.
I think about French onion a lot with that top pick, but it's too cheesy for your every day.
It's like, if I know I'm going to get 4 soups, then I can take one that is much more. Like this is the best when I have it, but it's not as utilitarian. Mm-hmm. If you're only getting like 1 or 2 soups in the draft, you need one that's going to be versatile.
Yeah.
Like when you really need it, what's going to hit for me? Like I like a New England clam chowder.
Oh yeah.
But I don't want one every day.
That's why the Italian wedding and the chicken noodle, I feel like is there for me. It's a pillar of my franchise. I can go multiple directions with it.
It's a right tackle.
Yeah. Can't go wrong.
Set it and forget it for the next 7 years.
Is it bad that last week I found myself after the game, Googling mock drafts, 2024 mock drafts. I usually save that until February.
Yeah, I mean, do what you got to do.
That's where I'm at, where I was like, all right, well, what's the first secondary player going off the board? And something I'm going to have to invite myself onto your guys' draft special down the line because, Bo, there is a white cornerback projected in the first round.
Dijon.
We're going to have to break it down.
The unicorn.
Yeah. Maybe the Eagles buck the trend and go white cornerback, linebacker first 2 rounds.
I doubt it.
I doubt it as well.
All right, speaking of white guys, we have Zach Berman live with us from MetLife Stadium.
What a transition.
Great look at you, Zach. You know, the collar, it looks like it has lost a little bit of its starch. So it looks like a much more normal collar. We will find a new slant. How are you? How's the locker room?
I'm happy to see you guys. Excited to come on the show.
Did they pop champagne for making the playoffs?
No, but that was their prevailing message, was that they're in the playoffs. Everything resets. It's 0-0, right? Like, come on. You know how many teams would wish they were in this position right now? That's the prevailing theme in there. That they won 11 games. They're in the playoffs. Everything resets. 0-0. Those were the talking points. That's what you heard. I don't know if that makes you feel better. They couldn't flip the switch last week. They couldn't flip the switch this week. So now they got to flip the switch next week, right? That was a question that I had asked.
New switches to flip.
Yeah, I mean, at some point you are who you are, right?
I think they need a new breaker box at this point.
Seriously, but no, in the locker room, honestly, well, we can start with the most the highest profile people, which is Nick Sirianni. It's a lot of the same message from him. They got to play better. They got to coach better. In terms of like how they can do this is it's the same thing he said, frankly, the past few weeks. These guys have been through adversity before. They've all been through adversity in their lives, and you pick yourself up off the mat. So he's playing the same card, right? I think that's the card he has to play. He even talked about what he said to the team before the NFC Championship game last year, which is like a very subtle reminder that, hey, they were in the NFC Championship game last year, right?
That's no accident.
No accident there, yeah. Because there were a lot of questions.
Tomorrow's Zoom press conference, he'll be wearing Super Bowl apparel from last year.
Yep. Yeah, this is that's kind of the thing that they like pointing out. Jalen Hurts, he spoke after the game. He said he'll take this day by day. The finger popped out. He's never had something like that before. He didn't want to talk about how it felt when he went back in there. Nick Sirianni said he was able to rip it when he went back in there, but we will see. A.J. Brown, I saw him. He actually greeted everyone as they came into the locker room. Was not wearing, I'm sorry, did not have crutches. Like, was not wearing anything other than like he had the sleeve on his knee, but nothing that would indicate this is a major long-term injury. Nick Sirianni does not have an update on that yet as well. Then we can get into kind of what different guys said in the locker room, but or what Sirianni and Hurts said. But I think as far as like the big items, that's what will knock off at the top.
Zach, I know it's your job to be in there, but like as a fan, I just don't care about Jalen Hurts speaking anymore. It's just cliche after cliche after cliche. What was your biggest takeaway from Sirianni? Is it self-scouting? Is new season? Like it's probably hard for people to believe in what they hear out of him at this point now after these past 6 weeks.
Yeah, honestly, my biggest takeaway from Sirianni is similar to what I just said, in that I don't think he has another card to play here, right? I think his messaging is what it's been. And yeah, the whole thing about 0-0, and you keep hearing that, right? They're in it. But honestly, it's similar to what we've heard the past few weeks. And frankly, the reason that I'd like to go to Sirianni each week, obviously he's the head coach, but you want to see, like, is there something different? What's jumping out that's different? So there's the big picture stuff. There's the game specific stuff. There's the stuff about, like, is the team still behind him? And he believes that's the case. He said you'd have to ask the players. The players are saying that publicly, right? But no, they did not show up for him today. Honestly, the best answer that I heard in the locker room today came from Dallas Goedert. And I say it's the best because it's like the only one that doesn't seem to be like from the talking points, and that seems to be like an honest, genuine sentiment that and what Dallas Goedert said is that when they made the playoffs, they went on cruise control. And it was just kind of like, waiting for the playoffs to begin. And he said it's kind of not what you're supposed to say, but he feels like that's what it's been around here is that they've been on cruise control waiting for the playoffs. And
I like
now,
that. That's honesty, at least.
Exactly. And like whether that helps them pick up the blitz or whether that helps them stop a third down, I can't tell you that. But that is an emotion that like you can understand, right? That they kind of showed up, and it's like the games that matter start to matter in January, and that they can show up and they can win because they did it 10 of 11 times. And then all of a sudden they realize that there were professional players across the field that if you don't show up, they're going to take advantage of you. But, there was a lot of stuff about the blitz. Like they knew Wink Martindale was going to blitz. Jason Kelsey said that they had some stuff in there that they couldn't really get to. And, he was asked about different blitz beaters. He said the reality is to avoid being in those third downs, right, where they can come at you like that. So there's a lot here that needs to unpack. But honestly, much of what I heard in the locker room is similar to what either I've heard or the talking point that I could have predicted, because that's what they're telling themselves now. It's 0-0. It all resets. It's one and done. I heard Brandon Graham talk about, all you need is a crumb. And Jalen Hurts said the same thing about this thing about crumbs. But those crumbs were there last week against Arizona, right? Those crumbs were, today there wasn't much they could have played for there. But those crumbs were there against Seattle. So that's why the thing that I heard the most, or like the thing that I heard that was most believable today, was what Dallas Goedert said was that they went on cruise control.
And of course, even if that's true, it's a dangerous thing to think that you can just turn it back on and flex those muscles again. They have lost that muscle memory to some degree. Super chat from, I think it was Corey, who's shouting out that we've got Cole rather. Zach the Bushman Berman, presented by Manscaped, is here. So that's exciting for you, Zach. We were talking about what question you would have asked Nick Sirianni. Did you ask a question to Sirianni? Settle our predictions.
Of course, I asked a question to Sirianni.
What was your?
I'm not here for vanity.
What was the framing of your question?
The framing of my question was, if you couldn't flip the switch last week, when you had those stakes, and you couldn't flip the switch this week, given the conversation going into the game, what makes you think you're going to flip the switch next week?
Bo nailed it. Bo nailed it, ladies and gentlemen. That's
Did you
a walk
really?
off.
Did you really?
Yeah, he did. Almost to a T.
That means we spend too much time together.
My question, Zach, I said, Bo,
Zach,
you know
Zach
as well as anyone. What avenue is Zach's question going to go down in the press conference? And pretty much to a T.
He's going to say, what makes you believe that you have what it takes to turn this thing around?
You guys really are meant to be together.
Wow. Why did you think I was going to ask that? You just know the way I
You guys complete each other's sentences.
Zach Berman every day.
So you're the one,
job.
right?
I cover Zach Berman like you cover the Eagles.
Well, yeah. So I ask that because I do think, that's what keeps jumping out to me here is they think they can just show up, right? They think that they can flip a switch. They think they're one of these teams that is that good, and they
think they're last year's Eagles, Zach.
Sure. And so I honestly, the Arizona game, so I was on this show after, what was it, maybe Kansas City? I think it was Kansas City. And I think I said, until they show me why I should pick against them, I'm not going to pick against them because they kept winning those games. Well, now I'm at the point where it's like the opposite. Until they show me that there's a reason that they can beat that they can beat any team, I don't have much confidence that they can, because they went out today and they weren't, I don't want to hear this whole thing about, their guys didn't play the whole game, or they didn't know it was on the, that they wasn't as much on the line today. it was 24-0 at the time Washington had a lead, right? So they didn't show up ready to play today. They didn't show up with answers on offense or defense. Their best players didn't show up. And given the way they played last week, that's inexcusable. Given the conversation about, this is about pride. This is about having momentum going into the postseason. That's inexcusable, right? Like, they would have been better off not playing their guys and at least having that excuse.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? So the fact that they went out there and they look like this, and that's what I'm saying. They don't have answers because there is no answer.
So, Zach,
their only answers,
right,
well, the thing that they're saying about the 0-0, they can cling to that because it's true, but that doesn't help you beat Tampa Bay.
And as you said, there are so many times over the past 6 weeks when if they could have flipped a switch, they were capable of that, they would have done it. And they have utterly failed every time.
So, Zach, I might have a little piece of breaking news for you here. The Eagles are actually favored next week in Tampa Bay, 1.5-point favorite on the road in the playoffs. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not surprised. The Eagles are an 11-win team that beat them. What was it in week 3? 25 to 11 or 10.
That sounds about right.
I'll tell you in a sec.
Yeah. So the fact that
wow, 25 to 11, good for you.
25 to 11. Okay. So the fact that they're a better team this year, that they beat them once down there, that now obviously that line doesn't take into account yet. We don't know about AJ Brown's status, right?
Sure.
So we got to see there because I don't think Vegas knows because I don't know if the Eagles know yet. But this is that doesn't surprise me, and I do think they can beat Tampa. I think they are better than Tampa. I mean, Tampa barely beat Carolina today, right? Carolina hasn't had a lead going in the fourth quarter all season, and Carolina had 2 touchdowns wiped off the board, and Tampa Bay only won 9-0, right? So I do think they can beat Tampa, but
I'm sure they could.
Yeah, sure. But then you also wonder, and we can get into that this week. We have 5 shows, but there's like the human element too. Like, do you want to board a plane and go across country to San Francisco, right? Those guys are thinking, they have to have confidence they can go out there and make a run. So yeah, teams have done it. Tim McManus from ESPN had a good piece this morning, where like Sirianni showed the teams that struggled going into the postseason and then went on runs, but that didn't motivate them to come out and show any type of semblance of effort or success against the Giants.
All right, I got one for the both of you here. Now, I think when you look back at this season, there's going to be 3 epic pivot points of the season, and I want to know which one of you believes in which. I think there's the Big Dom effect, that maybe he was the special offensive consultant this entire time, made the offense fail. There was the Christian Ellis effect. Things went south when Christian Ellis was let go. And then 3, Sean Desai getting demoted in favor of Matt Patricia. Which of the 3 was the most derailing to the Eagles season?
Well, obviously the Christian Ellis thing leads to the Desai thing, and so that's got to be the number one pivot point.
And Zach, which would you choose?
Yeah, definitely Desai.
Not Big
Desai
Dom.
Patricia thing.
But I think what
No,
we
for-
are, I think what
for
we
two
are
reasons,
learning
yeah.
is that, and this is serious, it's that given how obviously terribly this has gone since they went to Matt Patricia, it is not the decision to go from Sean Desai to Matt Patricia that is the big thing. It is what that tells us about what was already happening in the building.
Yeah.
The fact that they had to push that button tells you that this was coming, this was rotten from underneath for longer than we knew.
Exactly. There are 3 things there. First off, that's like a tangible thing. The defense has gotten worse because they have a play caller who did not install this defense, who does not oversee this defense, and it's not his defense, and so they've gotten worse since then. That's number 1. Number 2, the fact that they felt they had to make that change at 10-2. The fact that, like, as Bo said, they saw something there to make them think this is the direction they needed to go, shows that there was something festering there. And then the third thing is you played that card, right? Once you play that card, that's like pushing your chips in the table. You can save that for a different time. You could have saved that for if they had lost against Seattle, right? Or if they had lost against Arizona, right? Like they used it at that point. And once you use it, you don't have it left. It's like using a timeout. Once you use it, you're rolling there. So because they can't like fire Patricia now, right? They can't go back to Desai. They've put themselves in this corner. So to me, that was the big move. We thought at the time that it either seemed premature or it was scapegoating. Like it was such odd timing for it after that Dallas game. For it to backfire the way it has, I got to be honest, I've never seen the only move that I've seen in football that's like backfired worse than that. And again, I don't have a whole catalog of it. Was that time that Sean McDermott benched Tyrod Taylor for Nate Peterman, and then Peterman threw 7 interceptions or whatever it was, and he had to put Tyrod back in, and they ended up making the playoffs, right? I've never seen an in-season move backfire to this magnitude. When I watched them on defense today, I couldn't believe it. They had no idea. I sat 3 seats away from Jimmy Kemsky, and I don't know what it was like on the TV copy. And the All-22, the pass to Saquon Barkley down the left sideline, that set up the score in the first half.
Yeah,
you could see that develop before the play, and it's like, wow, Saquon's wide open here, and it was
right. He comes across like the line in motion. Nobody they're slow to follow him. He releases off like a great Nicholas Morrow's got to trail him from 5 yards behind, and it was as if Smith,
exactly. So it was crazy to see that, and then offensively, man, the way that blitz was coming, they had no answers. Jalen just looked dejected. I'm not a body language guy, but Jalen just looked dejected.
This is the big Dom effect.
They had no answer.
Now, Zach, your boy, Mike Garafolo, reporting just moments ago that the Eagles believe Sidney Brown suffered a torn ACL.
Oh, good stuff.
Against the Giants. Yeah. He will undergo testing tomorrow.
MetLife Field strikes again.
He was so 2 things there. First off, he was declared out right away. So that's a bad sign when you're declared out right away. That's not an example of like, should Nick have played his guys or not? Sidney Brown would have been on the field regardless, right? So I know that discussion. Now you can use that as an example for why he shouldn't have played his guys or his starters. But Sidney Brown would have been out there no matter what today. So that's unfortunate and affects the defense. And good thing they had Bradley Roby active today, as he went in there.
Yeah. Well, they better hope it's a Monday Night Football game so that Bradley Roby gets to play in primetime.
You're right.
Do you think they were so bad today that they played themselves out of Monday Night Football? I guess we'll probably find out.
Someone asked me that
momentarily.
We'll find out in an hour or so. CJ Stroud looked awesome last night.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco's been a big story.
Yeah, that seems like a much more fun.
You never know. But the reality is, this is the second year of the Monday game, right? What matters most is are those TV ratings, and Jamie knows this well, right? Like they,
typically
the
networks, Eagles are a huge draw, one that networks fight for. Yes, yeah. I don't think that's the case right now.
And what really, it's the second year of the Monday night game, so they need to show like the football side of it, whether it's the football side. There's a reason for this. Look at the numbers this is generating, right? So last year they had Tampa Bay, Dallas. That was a huge, it was Brady's last game. That was a huge Monday night game. This year, I get it that the Eagles aren't playing well, but Eagles Tampa will be a big draw. Now,
I don't know that it's a big. Who knows? People are going to watch regardless.
True. Maybe CJ Stroud Flacco. Yeah. Maybe CJ Stroud Flacco is the better one. I certainly hope CJ Stroud Flacco is the better one. I would much rather a Sunday game or Saturday game, even, but Sunday, let's say.
Got you that Sunday 1:00. Yeah.
Yeah, give me that more than the Monday. Yeah,
so Zach, let's fast forward ahead through time here. Next Sunday morning, Monday morning, or Tuesday morning, whatever it may be. What is Zach Berman's headline story after the game?
I do think they're going to win, and it's that they set up this.
You can't pick them anymore until they have to.
I know, but I get that, but I can't pick. I
Opie.
can't pick a not. What Tampa finished 9-8. I can't pick a 9-8 Tampa team with Baker Mayfield as the quarterback.
They've got a better
Against
point differential than the Eagles.
That's true. So the Eagles bounced back to finish with a
+5.
with a positive point differential, +5. But there was a point in that game when they were negative. And this is an interesting stat that I was waiting to put out after the game if they finished it this way. The only 3 times during my time on the beat when the Eagles have had a negative point differential was 2012 when they fired Andy Reid, 2015 when they fired Chip Kelly, and 2020 when they fired Doug Peterson. It's the only 3 times that they've had a negative point differential. A matter of fact, you have to go back to 2005 or 2006. I think 2005. Yeah, the post Super Bowl year for the only other time when the Eagles had a negative point differential since the year 2000, other than those 3 years when they fired the head coach. So that goes to show you the way those seasons were. And I can say, because we haven't gotten into the Sirianni discussion, and we'll have time to do this, I covered the end of each of those coaches that I mentioned, okay? And those were like season-long declines. But I've never seen a worse stretch. I've never seen a worse stretch than this. And in particular,
From a team
these
with
past 2
something
weeks.
to play for.
Yes, exactly. The only thing that I think compares it for a team that has something to play for was that stretch in Chip's last year of Tampa, Miami, Detroit. I think it was Detroit on Thanksgiving, being the third one. Other than that, there's never been a stretch like this. This is bad, and that's why I don't think Nick Sirianni deserves to be fired. I don't think Nick Sirianni deserves to be on the hot seat. I have covered Jeffrey Lurie, and I know Jeffrey Lurie, and Jeffrey Lurie sees this. He sees what we all see here, and the way he's reacted to these types of things in the past, because they haven't happened very often, but the way he's reacted to these types of things in the past has been with major changes. So it's never happened during a winning season, that's for sure. And it's never happened. And they still have time to write this script. But this is absolutely alarming to be here right now, to see what I saw today, the type of football, to see what I saw last week. It's crazy to think 2 weeks ago against the same team, the Eagles dominated them, right? Deniz had the stats of like what the Eagles' points per drive were. And outside of 2 fluky plays in that game, the Eagles, 2 fluky turnovers, Eagles dominated them. The Eagles didn't look like they belonged on the field today. I've seen defenses in the 3rd preseason game, when it used to be the 4th preseason game, more prepared for what this defense was today. So Zach, yeah, this is alarming.
I'm curious off of that. Like, there's a really good chance now, and I do think it's crazy to think this is a real discussion, but it's going to be that there could be wholesale changes throughout this coaching staff. If Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman make that decision, mostly Jeffrey, is it more because of the defense or the offensive performance this year? Granted, I know the defense, is easy to say is the reason, but I think offensively they underperformed to a big degree. Which do you think is the driving reason of why change could come?
Oh, well, I would think the overall responsiveness of the team down the stretch here, but of those 2 sides of the ball would be the defense. And that's why I think it's more likely they make a change on defense, and that's what happens this offseason. Because I don't know today's numbers will really affect it, but going into this game, I think they were number 8 in DVOA on offense, right? So they still have a top 10 offense. These past 2 weeks, they put up 30 points in both those games. The previous 2 weeks, I think internally they probably don't view offense as big a problem. I think they probably look at some things situationally that need to be fixed, and as Bo's referred to in terms of game management this year. But I think the overall metrics on the offensive side of the ball have been more positive than kind of the micro look on some of the play calling. And Deniz had the stats the other day about Jalen Hurts. I do think they need to do more to maximize Jalen Hurts, but I think they look at some like non-sticky stats here, such as turnovers, as reasons why the offense is playing probably even better than the reputation might be. But the defense, all the numbers suggest this defense is as bad of a group as there's been in a long time.
So given that he made the Eagles' point differential positive for the season, would you say that Quez Watkins saved Nick Sirianni's job?
I don't. And honestly, that second half, I was working on some, like I went down there early. I was looking at some other stuff, and you're trying to figure things out.
Good instincts.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw a lot coming off the field there. What I kind of looked up, I'm like, wow, Quez is having a good game. So
wait,
who
so
had the Quez this
what
week?
did you see down there?
Well, the AJ Brown thing that I was down there with two other guys, with Jameson Garrow and Tim McManus and Elliot Short Parks, so three others. And yeah, you saw AJ Brown standing at the door greeting everybody. That was big. You saw I saw Jeffrey Lurie come in. I think the AJ Brown thing, that's what I was really.
What was the facial expression
like,
on Mr. Lurie there, Zach?
Stone faced, right? Stone faced. He didn't. Yeah, there
gave you
there
nothing.
wasn't much there.
Yeah,
nothing there. But again, right? He hadn't met with Jeffrey. Oh, I'm sorry, he hadn't met with Nick yet. There's a lot that goes through your mind right there. There's nothing into those interactions. But the AJ thing I found to be very interesting, and the fact that there were no crutches. There was nothing that would indicate this being a major injury, right? Like I was outside that LA Coliseum locker room when Carson Wentz had the torn ACL, and he was on a golf cart going to the team bus, right? He greeted everyone that day too, but he was on crutches and he went on a golf cart, right? And you knew then, holy crap, this is serious. There was nothing that I saw from AJ Brown that would suggest like this is that type of injury. Now that doesn't mean he's going to be on the field Sunday. And then I wanted to see Jalen with my eye. Like I wanted to see the finger there, so to speak. And it was funny. I saw the TV copy when he had the middle finger held up, and I say, I don't, was that just mimicking Eagles fans at that moment? You like that? I'm testing out material for my story here. Okay. So. It could be a good lead. But yeah, Jalen was holding.
I think what you could say is that the state of the Eagles is that even when he's expressing the same emotion as most Eagles fans, he can't even give the finger right.
And why is that? Well, the finger was up, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it's all crooked. It's all, he can't even.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't a good bird.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. But now that of all fingers, right? So no, I saw him holding his bag and he was able to grip his bag with his right hand, but he wasn't necessarily using that finger to grip it. But he was gripping his bag.
You were really zeroed in.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for, right? I'm not here for the taco line. I'm here to report for the PHLY.
He's going to be packing his bags with that hand soon enough.
Yeah, maybe, or it's all 0-0. He said he talked after the game about the standard, and he always talks about the standard, right? And
oh yeah.
He said, but then he had. But right now, we just need to win. He's like, right now, we just need to win. It doesn't matter how.
That's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, he's like, I always talk about the standard, and you have to play the standard, and you feel it in your soul and all this stuff. And then he's like, but we just need to win, and he's right. They just need to win right now. It doesn't matter how it's coming around.
So they're so bad they've broken Jalen out of his cliche roboticness.
Yeah, now the standard doesn't matter. It's just a win. It's just a win. Yep.
Rent's due, but maybe your landlord will give you an extra week or two.
That's what they're looking for. One more week on that rent, right? Anything can happen thereafter.
All right, Zach. Well, we look forward to reading what you come up with on allphly.com tonight. You and I will be back tomorrow at 3:30 here for the PHLY Eagles podcast. Maybe a meeting of the congregation. We'll see what happens. Thank you for your efforts tonight. You look good. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thank you.
See you, Zach.
All right, Jamie. The Quez Watkins game. We'll all remember it.
Yeah, I'm sure he's having a great time.
Yeah, I think there actually is a little something to, like, he was really playing up Like he got to be the number one receiver. Like, look at me.
Oh yeah, I can put
Yeah.
this on tape. Go make
Yeah.
myself some money in a
Yeah,
little
why
bit.
not? Good for him.
Yeah. Sure.
All right. Well, you know the story. If you've been here this long, God bless you. The Eagles lose 27-10 in the Week 18 finale. After starting the season 10-1, they finish 11-6. But they head to Tampa Bay next week for the playoffs, a chance to exact some measure of good feeling about this season. Otherwise, if they lose that game, hard to put anything off the table for what might happen this offseason. Jamie, how are you feeling about the Bucks?
I feel like they can't beat anybody, so I don't care who the opponent is.
I don't care who you are.
Congratulations to you on your big victory in the Zach Berman What's This Question Gonna Be Bowl.
Yeah, that's going to carry me for a while. That was really good stuff.
That was big.
I
That
feel
might be
good
the
about
best
that.
thing that came out of today.
I would say without a doubt. Yeah, I mean, good day for me and Quez.
Yeah.
I would say.
You're thriving.
Yeah, we're feeling good. So I'll have that.
I'm at the point where it's like, I don't care who the opponent is. I have confidence that they can beat no one.
Right. You go in with completely no expectations.
Yeah.
Like expecting them to lose by 2 touchdowns next week. And if they win the game, good for them. And
great.
We'll see
now we'll talk about how we can lose to Detroit or San Francisco.
That's okay.
Whatever it may be.
That is what they have brought upon themselves with the level of performance that they have put out on the field over the past 5-6 games. So for Jamie and Julia, we thank you for listening and watching, and for Zach as well. We will talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for all the super chats. And as always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.